Welcome, Sagittarius, your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 29th of June for the Ascendant, the Sun, or the Moon. Going to share the big themes of the week ahead first. On screen is your event chart. As we go into the week, I'll unpack that for you too. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail. By the end of the video, you'll have a clear picture of what's upcoming in terms of energy, work, relationships, or finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. As we came to the end of last week, Mars, the planet of action, assertion, and drive, moved into your sector of relating, but also of competing. But also, as we go into this week, we've got a full moon in Capricorn and Mercury in Cancer going into retrogrades on Monday before Jupiter, your ruler, makes its return to Leo, your fellow fire sign, for the first time since 2015. So it's an incredibly busy skyscape as this week shapes up. On the screen now is your event chart. And first of all, let's look at the luminaries. So the sun continues its journey in Cancer, which is very much to do with nurture, protectiveness, can be to do with our home and family situation, but for you, it's the eighth house. So there could be some transformation going on in those areas. In a more practical way, it can be about shared finances, investment, long-term money. The moon, however, starts the week in your zodiac sign before switching later on Monday into an opposition with the sun. Now, the moon in Capricorn is said to be detrimental. It's a very practical place for sure. It's an earth sign, but it's also house two, which can be about everyday money, self-worth, and values. If you're trying to collaborate with someone and it's not quite chiming between you, it could show up on the back of this particular full moon, not least because Neptune is in a T square with both the position of the sun and when the moon arrives in Capricorn. And that means that part of you, which can be more gregarious and very imaginative and creative, could be governed in some ways by the financial reality of your situation, maybe some realignments you need to make. Or it could be you could be attracted to someone in quite a powerful way. It's not necessarily a good match for you because Neptune can be a little bit distorting. However, Mars, having moved into that seventh house, could be giving you a big desire for connection. Conversely, it could be giving you a big desire for disconnection. It just depends on your unique circumstances. With Mercury beginning a retrograde on Monday 2 through to the 23rd, taking care of those long-term finances in a very precise way is going to be important. But I think Mercury retrograde in the eighth house is a big opportunity to perhaps get beneath the surface of something and really get a deeper understanding of what it might mean. And it could be where you've been invested spiritually, emotionally, intimately, or financially with another person. And if it is feeling a bit confusing, the more you do try to work out really what's going on, the better it's going to be. But on Tuesday, we do have Jupiter moving into Leo. It angles back straight away to Mars. Now, they have been in a sextile for a little while, but now they're in a much better alignment for you personally. We've got the oxygen of the air sign of Gemini feeding the flame of Jupiter moving into the fire sign of Leo. You're a fire sign too. You appreciate passion. It brings inspiration, and you could be connecting to some new people this week who really are very exciting for you. But that might be all about the transformation, about where you've been committed. So sometimes could get deeper, some could evolve to the point that you're wanting to move on. It just depends on your unique situation. A couple of other takeouts from the start of the week. Over the last year and a half, the position of the North Node has been asking you to stay in touch with how you feel about things, listen to your inner nudges. Saturn going through your fourth house was challenging and may have been quite testing, but Neptune had been there full time since 2012. So I think your home and emotional life has for some time felt uncertain. So what the North Node has done is given you a chance to really get to a point of greater peacefulness and tranquility. However, Mars challenges the North Node right at the start of this month. So around a work relationship, Virgo, or your inner or personal world, if you aren't really quite happy with the status quo, Mars in that conjunction with Uranus could see you doing something much more dramatic, much more old style Sagittarius to shake things up by being quite provocative, particularly in that link to Jupiter. By then, in the part of your chart, very much to do with freedom and independence, very much playing into those traditional values of yours. So it's going to be intriguing. If you aren't in a close relationship, financially, business wise, or romantically, this is a very, very exciting period that you're entering. Absolutely no doubt about it. If you're lucky enough to be collaborating with someone where you do have the same values and the same approach, Venus in that trine to Saturn, very stabilizing. But what about Chiron? Chiron's moved into your sector of practical health. And that, of course, is where the South Node has been for you, for in sense of those Virgo energies. But I think it's important in the square that goes with Jupiter, not try to mask how you might feel about a situation by showing any bravado. If there is something that you're concerned about or isn't working very well, do take some advice. However, as Jupiter moves into that area, you may also start to think about travel, higher education, maybe a distance learning course. It could be some retraining to do with your work. Connections overseas can be boosted. Anything to do with history and culture can really call out to you. And of course, that's where Venus is as the week begins. So the two planets of fortune are in a very expansive part of your chart. The Sun and Mercury in a very evolutionary part, and Uranus and Mars in a very, perhaps we could say, confrontational part, but I think certainly a part that is wanting to be more assertive about your boundaries. Now, I'm going to summarize those four areas of vitality, work, relationships, and finances next. Just before I do, I've reduced the price of my personal horoscope reports. It's now 3 for the price of 1. For many years, it was buy 2, get 30% off. The charts you would get are your life roadmap report, which helps us to understand the patterns that play out in our lives better, your 12 months transit forecast, and your draconic soul karmic analysis, helping us to look at life, astrology, and ourselves in a different and profound way. Please see the link below for more. If you've yet to watch your July monthly forecast or your Jupiter into Leo 13-month forecast, please click on the eye on the screen and that will take you through to those videos. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it'd be a pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. And if you've yet to sign up for my free daily written horoscope, fired to your device each morning, you can do so below too as well. So to summarize, as far as energy is concerned, Chiron's asking you not to try and create a diversion with Jupiter moving into the 9th house from anything you need to do, whether it's around diet, sleep, rest, greater exercise, cooking food from scratch, just generally being a bit more virtuous. Don't deflect from that by perhaps creating a diversion of some kind. As far as your relationships are concerned, if you're single but you'd like to meet someone, I think you're entering a really exciting time. And I think that can extend all through the month of July. But if you're in a relationship at the moment that feels like it's got a bit bogged down, maybe there's some heaviness over who does or contributes what, maybe you have different values, maybe you don't quite know where you stand with that person, but somehow or another you feel a bit, maybe a bit connected to them, a bit attached was the word I was looking for. If you feel a bit attached to someone, but you don't really know where you stand, I think that the full moon in that T square with Neptune is really asking you to assert your boundaries and say exactly what you need. In a professional context, if you do work collaboratively with people and you're open to new and developing trends, and you're also very business minded, I think the key really is to make sure to keep the flow of those relationships going, but also be very precise in any practical discussions, because I think you're brilliant at the big picture, but I think sometimes the detail can bore you a little bit. In terms of absolute finance, the eighth house can be about those longer term opportunities. I think one of the things we could say is that before Jupiter does move into the sign of Leo, it is in a very good conjunction with Mercury. So we've got the two planets of trade, really. Jupiter and Mercury is the marketeer. Jupiter's very much about how we actually do the exchange. And I think that conjunction could bring you some good fortune, but it's all about the details. Thank you so much for joining me, Sagittarius. Have a great week. All the best and goodbye for now.